Hi, I'm Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. And as I continue to play with different backdrops in my house, I'm inviting you tonight for a literal kitchen table conversation. This is my kitchen table behind me. So tonight we had a fairly short meeting because we had no items for individual consideration, but we did have a couple of meaty preliminary open discussions. The first of which was about short-term rentals. This actually didn't entail much of a discussion per se, but there was a good update. So as some of you may remember, last fall, there was discussion about moving forward with our intended registration program. Well, there was significant citizen concern about what that might mean if done precipitously. And there were specific requests to follow the Arlington model. Arlington conducted basically 2 years worth of research, and they prohibited short-term rentals except in specific districts in what they called the entertainment district. Now this makes sense for Arlington because they are a tourist destination with Cowboy Stadium and Ranger Stadium, not to mention Six Flags. So it's a different model for Arlington. Plano is not a tourist destination. We are, however, a corporate destination, and so it might make sense to allow some areas in the city to permit short-term rentals, but this would require actual research, and I would want to see a citizen-led commission or committee, just like we did the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee and the Bond Referendum Committee. But our city staff has met with officials from Arlington or staff from Arlington to understand their process and their solution. Arlington actually presented 4 or 5 options at a town hall to citizens that they discussed. We're also working on contracting with a professional facilitator to conduct outreach to citizens. This is in much the same way we did with the listening tour early last year to surface citizen feedback and opinions. We're also gathering third-party data on short-term rentals in the city rather than relying on any one source. So that we get as accurate as possible a view into the current short-term rental situation. And a resident brought up an interesting point that nearby cities, notably Frisco with the impending addition of a Universal Park, are investing heavily in tourism. However, Plano runs the risk of being the short-term rental destination for other cities' tourism if we don't approach this correctly. Now, I've said publicly on many occasions that I think that short-term rentals are a disruption to residential areas, that having a revolving door for people, for non-owner occupied properties, where there could be different people every night, that erodes the fabric of a neighborhood. So I'm encouraged to see this moving forward to really understand the needs of our community, listening to the members of our community, and adopting a model that passes legal muster as well as securing the value and the fabric of our neighborhoods. The next item we discussed was CHDOs, Community Housing Development Organizations. So the short story behind CHDOs is that we are a recipient of HUD funds, Plano is. Now there are a couple of uses to which these HUD funds can be used, or a couple of forms they take, I should say. Community development block grants and home funds. So they can be used for different things, which we won't get into right now. But in order to make use of these, we have leveraged CHDOs, community development organizations, in order to actually put those funds to use. Now, we had a community development organization between 1999 and 2017, the Plano Housing Corporation, which used the money that we granted to them. They applied every year, and we granted them money that we received from HUD in order to rehabilitate homes, etc. This is all exclusively for low-income residents now, and low-income housing. Now, and they could be single-family homes or multifamily, but starting in 2017, we discontinued the relationship with the Plano Housing Corporation, and we started to use another CHDO which is based in Tarrant County. And they serve principally Tarrant County, Arlington, and Fort Worth. And I came to ask tonight whether they had ever served Plano or even anywhere in Collin County, and the answer was no. So long story short, and as I said on the dais tonight, ever since I was elected, ever since you elected me in 2019, I was concerned, I've been concerned about our whole approach to affordable housing, meaning taxpayer subsidized housing. And that started with our process for housing tax credits. The first time I questioned this was in 2019, shortly after you elected me. And there have been a number of concerns, and I think we need to take a holistic look at how we approach this and make sure that our needs are being met, that we're not jumping through unnecessary hoops, and that we're not creating artificial market pressures or artificially exacerbating the high cost of housing in Plano, which is what government subsidies invariably do. So as it regards CHDOs, there was pretty much consensus on the council to say that if we're going to partner with the CHDO at all, it needs to be somebody who actually operates within our community and has relationships within our community in order to provide the best services to the people who need it. So that's going back to city staff, and they will bring that back to us at a nearby future date for consideration. They're going to actually go talk with community partners as well and understand who can actually bring these funds to bear, who can help operate a CHDO, and how can we distribute these funds as efficiently as possible to the people who need them. Now, of course, I'm not necessarily in favor of taking federal money just because it's quote unquote free money, because as you know, it's not free money. It all comes from the taxpayer. It's just a question of whose pocket or which pocket it's being taken from, the federal pocket, the state pocket, or the city pocket. There's also the county pocket and special district pocket, but we won't get into that. You're welcome to view all of that in my Property Tax 101 seminar later this year. There's a good plug. But that concluded that discussion. We then moved to our regular meeting. So we did have Best Neighborhood recognition status for the Platinum Best Neighborhoods. Those awards went to Denham Village, Estates of Forest Creek, and Country Place Plano. So congratulations to all three neighborhoods on achieving Platinum status for Plano's Best Neighborhoods. We had certificates of appreciation presented to Colleen Aguilar-Epstein for her service on the Board of Adjustment, and to Rick Horn for his service on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Totally coincidentally, of course, they stepped down from their respective commissions, and totally coincidentally, you see their signs going up around the city for the upcoming May 6th election. Of course, that's sarcasm. It's not coincidence at all. They resigned so that they could run for city council seats. So, of course, you see those signs, Colleen Aguilar-Epstein and Rick Horn. And we did have one consent agenda item pulled off the consent agenda in order to have a discussion about it. That was Councilman Riccadelli, who requested that the item to grant the city manager authority for making procurement decisions due to supply chain issues. Those, any procurement decisions, he had up to $100,000 capability, and it could only be for already budgeted or routine items. This is because of the supply chain challenges we have right now, and it would allow the city manager to jump on available inventory for whatever we might need before it evaporated. So trying to nail down inventory for all sorts of stuff is a pretty big challenge right now. So Councilman Riccadelli wanted to modify this to have an expiration date. So I backed an expiration date of 1 year, and that's going to come back before us presumably next meeting to actually vote on the modified language saying that this is for a period of 1 year, after which we would have to reevaluate it. I hope that we will not have these same issues, the supply chain issues, a year from now, but the way things have been going, who knows? It's anybody's call. So that'll be coming back before us. It was tabled for now, pending the update. And that was tonight's meeting, but my re-election kickoff is next Monday, January 30th at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Turkish Cafe in Plano. I would love to see everybody there. I am explicitly not turning anybody away, and I'm not kicking anybody out unless you cause an actual disruption. This is a kickoff, not a kick out, and I welcome any and all to join us. I look forward to seeing you there. Once again, my name is Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. Thank you and God bless.